hopeful that it'll be helpful for everyone who's attending today. This is a collaboration of Career Forward, partnering with ACC's Academic Support Center to try and discuss topics and workshops that will be applicable skill for college students and for those re-entering the workforce. So I will hand it over here now to Lucas to talk to us about improving your organization.
Hello and good afternoon to everybody. Looks like we have about 7 of you here at last count. And my name is Lucas Axmaker. Here's my one bad joke for the day. Please don't butcher it. Okay. Anyways, moving on, talking about when you're in college or really in life, organization is such an important, essential skill to have, but it's also something that, you know, takes some work, takes some practice. And today I'm going to give you lots of helpful tips and tricks. And so where we're going to start today is a nice little handout that I created myself with just an assortment of helpful study strategies. Doesn't matter what it is you're studying, working on doing, not only in school, but in life. These are great things that are going to help you in what you're doing now and in the future. So the first bullet point, how ironic, organization. With good organization, you can do so much and you can do things so much more effectively and efficiently. Big bullet points, always put important dates with the classroom assignments. If it's a job, items that need to be done into your calendar as well as a checklist. And one item that's up here already that is included in the packet is an organizational calendar to help you basically block off your time slots throughout the day, throughout the week. This is a wonderful tool to do, whether you do it physically with a document like this or a lot of the smartphones and stuff we have now. You can do the same thing within the calendar and calendar functions on your phone. Or there's also calendars and stuff on your computer and Outlook as well. So the whole time we're talking, just realize being able to allocate time is a great thing. Keeps us on task and make sure that we get done what we need to, and then we can fill in time slots that are available with other things, whether they're for school, personal, or otherwise. For specific classes and everything, whether you're taking 1 classes, 2 classes, or a multitude of classes, make sure you have a specific folder or notebook for each class. Don't try to put everything in one giant folder or one backpack, because then it becomes disorganized chaos. Make sure that your study space is clean and organized. Once again, if everything's all over the place, you're going to spend a whole lot of time trying to find things or not knowing where things are. And then you're losing valuable time and probably getting stressed and frustrated as well. Plan out each day and week with what you'll be doing. Once again, it comes back to the little organizer. Lay things out ahead of time. This is basically kind of a quote and a mantra that I live by, but it is always better to be proactive and start working ahead in not only the classroom, but also all aspects of life. Better to be proactive than a procrastinator, better to be proactive than reactive, and so on. Next section, some important, just general study tips. Read through a chapter ahead of time, taking some quick notes and write down questions that you have. That way, when you get to the classroom, you're coming prepared for the content and material that's going to be discussed. And when the teacher gets to a specific subject or area that you're like, I don't get that, right away, you know, at that point, that's a great time to ask some more questions and get clarified what you didn't exactly understand in the first place when you first read through the chapter. After going through the material in class, return to the book and read back over important concepts and stuff that the teacher has highlighted. After that, I encourage you basically rewrite any notes you've taken before class, during class, rewrite them, type them up, do something so that they are better organized and legible. No matter who you are, we've all been in that time and place where you're scribbling down a bunch of stuff. And if you tuck it away for days or weeks, especially with classes, and don't look at it, you look back at it 3-4 weeks later as you're trying to get ready for a test, and you can't even read your own handwriting. So, like I said, be progressive. Do some reading beforehand, take some notes in class, reorganize everything so you have clean, updated notes. And then when you do get closer to tests and stuff, you can then organize some of those notes into note cards and some other methods, which I believe is highlighted, yes, next. So create your note cards, study sheets, blank templates with a lot of things. If you kind of have something that's blank and can I fill this in depending on the class? Like you got to understand some sort of cycle and all its components. Create a blank template, because just to stare at one that's been completed and be like, I got it, doesn't necessarily confirm that you really understand it. But if you have a blank template that you can work with and pull out, and once you create that template, you can always pull that out and have extras on you to reference to and practice on anytime you get a few minutes. So here's a big one, and this is great that we have 8 of you here now today. Organize and coordinate study groups and sessions. Do not think that you have to try to do everything all by yourself. Working with others, collaborating, interacting, communicating, engaging. It'll bring out the best in you and the others around you. And I know from my personal academic and life experiences, once I learned that it was okay for me to talk and interact with other people, the world has opened up with how much I've learned, how much I've done, and so many new and different things that I've become attuned to just as a result of interacting with others. And finally, yes, I am one of the tutors here at ACC. If any of you are ever on the main campus, don't hesitate to stop by and see myself or any of our other tutors on the first floor of the library, literally at the bottom of the elevator, just as you enter in from the second floor. Take a quick right, hop in the elevator, go down to the first floor, come out. We're the first room on the right, and you can't miss us. Myself and many others are available for a wide variety of subjects. Also in the library on the first floor is the writing center and the math support center. So we've got all of these different tutoring and support services, all housed on the main campus within the library. And you can also connect with all of us through email as well as virtual appointments. So lots of ways to connect and lots of accessibility. The last big thing on my sheet here, best ways to learn.
Before we move on, study
Yes.
groups. So in Navigate, you're able to utilize the study buddies there. And so Kristen was saying that it's been a huge help for her biology class. And then a few people have mentioned ways that they kind of track their assignments, either using their cell phone calendar or their planner or both. Karen even mentioned that she has a sheet that she writes down various headings for various classes with all assignments and due dates, which helps alleviate anxiety, and she can mark them done and when they were submitted. So that makes it an easier process too.
Absolutely. I come from a long line when I say this. Well, my dad and his dad were very big on checklists. So checklists have been around for a long, long time. And my grandpa, I'm not even sure what he wrote his checklists on, but I know for years my dad did checklists on blank envelopes He would write down his list of items to do, whether it was home, whether it was work, whether it was anything. And by being able to, put things down and to cross them off or check them off. Now, I said, I've told them I brought it more 21st century because you can do the same thing now with your smartphones and the stuff on there. So I'm still doing checklists. It's just I brought them into the world of today, but occasionally I still pull out a scrap piece of paper to go somewhere and still go back to traditional because it does. It's that organizational tool that it's something that that needs to get done, and it does. It feels satisfying to either cross it off or check it off. So yes, great points there. So our final section on this, best ways to learn. This is true for everyone. Understand that there are many different learning styles. If you don't already know, kind of try out some different styles and techniques for learning. Some people do really great with, they can read stuff and take it in. Honestly, from what I've seen, that's not a whole lot of people that are just sponges. But you got to find out for yourself if that's who you are. Some people do very well with hearing things. So if you can listen to stuff, and if you have lectures of different things that you kind of listen to, that's a great tool. Lots of people are very visual. If you're a visual learner, use techniques and methods to incorporate visuals. But the biggest thing is there is not one singular learning style out there. You need to try out different things if you haven't already to find out what styles and methods work best for you. And what works best for me, more than likely, doesn't line up perfectly to work best with any other person. So you can try anything out. It never hurts to try, but hone in and figure out what works best for you and how you learn best, what engages you the most, what excites you the most. And obviously, if something doesn't work for you, don't feel like if you stick with it long enough. No, you're going to realize soon enough if something's not your cup of tea, as they say. So here's a big one. Do not procrastinate or attempt to learn everything last minute. There's not even a person that I know of that's capable of this unless they're a savant or something. But yes, you're not going to learn everything crammed into a short period of time. Maybe the world's smartest supercomputer could, but really that's not human. And all of us here are human and we don't function that way. Here's a big one. Realize that it takes 5 to 10 repetitions or more to learn and retain new information. Anything you do, especially when it's completely foreign and brand new, you need to go over it. And I always say, aim for double digits, but a minimum of 5. And the same thing, if you get to, that's just material, but same thing goes that when you're like going to give a speech or a presentation, you need to physically practice that presentation. And if you have a PowerPoint, going through it, like I said, minimum 5 times, but yeah, double digits or more, it's going to be so much better. And you're going to have enough repetition of something for it to actually stick, not to just be there in your mind for the short term.
So I mentioned in the chat, if anyone knows their learning style, I've also heard that kinetic learners can doodle during a lecture to better retain the lecture. Is this interesting? It looks like Seneca is actually a kinetic learner, and she can confirm that doodling does help, or anything stimulating like drawing or doing something else while listening to a lecture helps her. And then Kristen said, I need a combination of seeing the material, hearing the material, and then writing the material. I also try to expose myself to the same material in different ways from different sources.
Very good. That is marvelous. And that's great. That's great that multiple of you have kind of, identified and have learned what is your styles and ways for learning. So if you haven't done that already, take the time. to try things out and identify, what works best for you. And finally, on my sheet here, the best ways to learn are, this is always important, ask questions. The worst thing to do is to have a thought or a question and to keep it to yourself. Put it out there. Discuss a topic and concept with others. Man, having those conversations about a specific topic, you're going to get more engaged, you're going to get more feedback back and forth, you're going to get a full circling conversation, and you're going to be so much more engaged and interested, and you're going to understand a whole lot more of what you're doing that way. And this is what I get to do on a regular basis now, being a tutor, but honestly, I find that I really do it in many facets of life. Teach and explain your content knowledge to others, whether it's your immediate family, whether it's friends, classmates. If you can sit there and talk and teach and explain something, that shows, and it takes your learning to the level of, you're not just trying to understand or seeing if you understand something. If you can teach it, you truly fully understand it. All right, moving on.
So if you hover over the Word documents at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it'll populate the little. Yep, there you go.
All right, it's up there, but we'll kind of highlight the bullet points. These are some 15 big organizational tips for college students. Great. What is our big point today? Getting organized. So, all right, this is definitely one I struggled with earlier in life, but wake up on time. If you start your day late, you are already running behind.
At the bottom, there's plus signs. I didn't know how you wanted to view that one, so, yeah.
I want to know how good of eyes everyone has. Let's be honest.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Second one, place all academic responsibilities together. Yes, so that's just an organization. Put it all in one place. In a physical planner, in your phone, on pieces of paper, but put things in one place together, that it's all viewable and accessible. Oh, my wife would love this. She loves colors. Color code your calendar. It does work. My wife does this with her work calendar every month. And yes, with some people, colors are very big and important to you. So that's another thing. Identify that and use that to your advantage. Determine your best time. This is true. What type of day is like your best type of day? This says, are you a morning person? For many years growing up, I know I wasn't. My own mother, she loves me, I love her, but for many years she told me that, yeah, I was basically oblivious to the world first thing in the morning. But you know what? She knew that, I understood it as well. And there wasn't major expectations of myself or from my parents of me when I first woke up. And that also meant I wasn't attempting to study algebraic equations or something else for school at 6 in the morning. But I have always done really well in the afternoons and evenings. So even to today, I am super productive in my personal life and work life in the afternoons and evenings. But yeah, anything I do for myself or work first thing in the morning is on the simpler side of things. So yes, know yourself. Know when you are capable of working your best.
It's an inside joke with almost every team or job I've ever had that I don't function before 9 a.m. And so I am usually, yes, me and Lucas agree on that one. Before 9 a.m., do not contact me. You can try, I'll do my best. But after 9 a.m., I'm great. I'm able to do it all.
Exactly. Yeah, my dad was one of those weird people. He could start, his world's still to today. He's retired. He's been retired for 10 years.
And he still starts at like
He
4,
still
5 in the
starts his
morning.
day at 5, 6. But I'm just like, no, there's nothing I need to work on or be thinking that intently about at that hour. But if that's you, go with it. Jamie and I, no bueno. Set daily goals. Oh, goals are great in anything you're doing. But set goals that are reasonable and realistic. That's the biggest thing with goals. Don't make outrageous goals. You know, to the beginning, make realistic, attainable goals. That's the most important thing there. Oh, yes, the backpack in school. Make sure your backpack has what you need from your essentials: pens, pencils, highlighters, notebook. There it is. What's essential for you to have, and that it's with you. Number 8, take notes. But take smart notes. I have had plenty of people, and it's great, come and talk with me in the Academic Support Center for Tutoring, and I just talk with them how to better take notes, because they're like, oh my gosh, I have 3 chapters in my book to read through, and I'm trying to take notes. And their notes encompass more pages of paper than what was in a single chapter in the book. And I'm like, that's that you want to take notes around important big topics, key terms, things like that. Because literally, if you just take a note of every sentence or the majority of what's in the book, you might as well just have photocopied the book. But what you want your notes to do is to highlight. And books, even textbooks, really there's a lot of the stuff in there is filling space. It's providing extra like examples and things, but get to the meat of what the chapter and like subheadings. A lot of chapters say chapter 1- or 1.1. What's the key concept for that? Get it, move on. Any key terms, move forward. But yes, don't just literally try to write verbatim everything that's in the chapter. Be concise and conscious of what you do with taking notes. On to the back half of this one. Create a clean workspace. Yes, nothing worse in the world than having a desk, a table, a counter, or whatever that looks like a tornado has hit. Have your items organized. Give yourself a good, clean space to work with. This is a good one. Minimize noise in workspace that might make it more difficult to concentrate. Another thing, and just earlier when I was in the tutoring room, one of my other tutors were talking about how they will use their earplugs or headphones to sort of either to tone out unnecessary noises or for them to have certain sounds or noise or stuff in their ears that are soothing, relaxing, enjoyable for them and what they're doing. Organize your materials. Sounds simple, but so important. Keep everything in order. Like I said, don't throw everything from all your classes in one place. Separate out your classes and organize things in a binder, a notebook, but not just how much can I stuff in a backpack. Here we go. We live in the world of technology. Turn off distractions. Yes, that might include your smartphone. They might call it a smartphone, but it can be a major distraction, not only from your studying and other things throughout the day. People at jobs, their job performances can seriously be affected by that. And there's even studies. I had a classmate a couple of years ago that talked about how many people their quality of sleep is even affected by their smartphone and it being on, and even the light on it and different things coming through and sounds. So a smartphone is one thing, but that's the big thing I think of in the world of today, but there's plenty others. Don't have all these other things that can disturb and distract from when you've devoted time that you should be and should want to be making good use of that time that you've allocated for your academics, for your studies. Number 12, form a study group. Like I said, don't try to do everything by yourself. Work together with others. In any class you have, it's easier than you think to find at least one, if not a couple of other people to work with. And you in the world we have now today, you can connect in person, but you can also connect virtually through Zoom or other platforms. There's just so many ways to connect and do that, use that. Don't isolate yourself from the world because there's so much more to be gained from working with and interacting with others. Now we're going to come back to your phone. Yes, you can use your phone in a very productive way for reminders. So you can have your phone alert you to certain things. Oh, I got this, I need to do this, or I need to remember to complete this assignment or stuff. So whatever it is, don't hesitate to put reminders in your phone. Oh, yes, have I done that? Great. And obviously, if you haven't, a friendly reminder never hurts. Having a budget, that's important. That's important in all facets of life. Keeping track of receipts to help you determine where your money has gone and what's left over can carry through your month. Yeah, I've been living the importance of that in this past year. Just this past Monday, I closed on a brand new home. So I've always been all about numbers and keeping track of things, but it has become even more essential and important, I know, in my life. And my wife greatly appreciates how organized I am when it comes to money and numbers and keeping track of all of the finances and expenses and everything. Ooh, I like 15, sleep. Don't try to stay up and go nonstop 24/7. Because when you hit your wall, you will crash and burn. Rest for so many things is the best thing in the world. Get a good night's sleep as much as you possibly can. And of course, as kids growing up, we complain about the nap. I don't want to take a nap. But man, I can tell you as an adult, anytime I can squeeze a nap in, even one nap a week, anything. It's a beautiful thing.
I'll take a 5-minute nap.
Exactly. So wonderful things. So yes, great pointers on this for keeping everything organized. Moving on to our next document. This one's focusing on some key strategies for online success. And this is very relevant, as we have all with ACC and many schools over the past couple of years been doing a whole lot more of online and virtual learning. It does highlight having a good workspace, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's an actual job. Having a designated workspace is still important, and hopefully it's something better than, yeah. I mean, kudos to you if you can be on your comfy couch or recliner, but I wouldn't dare try to set up and work on school or work stuff in too comfortable a place because I would probably fall asleep. So having an effective workplace, make sure you know where everything is, set up an organized space with everything you'll need. Once again, have everything on hand and accessible for you, whether you're connecting, working, doing school stuff from home. Maybe you went to a library. Changes of scenery, I always find are beneficial, or another place in the house. We're going to hit spring here soon. I know we actually have had some snow in the past couple of weeks, but really this has been a pretty mild winter. And once weather gets warmer, gosh, stepping outside, fresh air, that's another great environment. So take advantage of those things. Next big bullet point, establish a study schedule. This all comes back to, blocking out your time, especially at least on a weekly basis. As you get better at this, you're going to have a lot of things that you can block out, even at least a month in advance, even longer in some cases. Because most academic semesters are anywhere from those that are on the fast track schedule are 8 to 10 week semesters. And then your traditional semesters, usually more around 16, 17 weeks. But yeah, any semester within those first couple of weeks, month, if you haven't done so already, get everything down and organized and laid out for all the weeks, for all the months, for the semester. Do more of that on the front end, then it's all prepared, and it's gonna be so beneficial as you move throughout the semester. And it allows you to stay on track or even ahead. Big bullet point here, utilize online tools. If you haven't done so already, yes, take advantage of bookmarks. And we're not talking the old school thing that you use to stuff in your paperback book. No, bookmarks on the computer can keep important websites, pages that you need. And obviously, as a student at ACC, a couple of those pages could be the main page, www.arapahoe.edu, some of your main pages and or links that you use frequently for particular classes or other things. So they're always just a quick click button away. Yes, if you're looking for help, because one great study tool, once you get the material and are getting closer to preparing for tests, is to create note cards. Note cards, have a term or something on one side and have an explanation, a definition on the other side. But some people are like, how do I create note cards? If any of you haven't heard of it, Quizlet is out there and can there's already note cards and stuff that are set up for specific classes and subjects, and you can go through those note cards on the computer through Quizlet, and they've basically already been created for you. How nice. Someone has already done the work of creating note cards, so you don't have to see if you have some note cards laying around, or they aren't expensive, but yes, they're already there. And literally it'll have a thing and then, okay, what's that? And then until you click a button, then it'll turn over and let you know if you're right. It'll even simulate some sample questions, all sorts of good stuff like that. And those are great things, just like try online tools. This says stay focused, which helps you restrict the amount of time you spend on distractions.
So Quizlet and Kahoot, you'd be surprised the topics or the subjects they have on there. I have a friend who's in becoming a masseuse through a beta, and they have both of those have index cards for her on Quizlet, and then Kahoot had a whole bunch of quizzes she could take. So you'd be surprised, and I think Kahoot is $5 a month to be able to take all of their quizzes. So it's not too bad, but if you're budgeting and you want some support, that might be something to consider.
Absolutely. So yes, so there is, technology is a lot of things, but there are a lot of very useful, beneficial tools and things out there. So don't hesitate to take advantage of those. And the last big one on here, this is important in school and life. have a support system. And with a lot more of this virtual online learning, you can kind of feel isolated. So make sure you have people you can connect with, your family, friends, other classmates that you know or that you get connected with. And that you can, even though you might be taking a class or multiple classes online, stay engaged and connect with other people and meet. Have weekly, at least once a week times that you meet on Zoom, talk about class, and then, you know, even the last 10, 15 minutes or the front end, yeah, talk about what else is going on in your life, because that's another thing they talk about in the working world, have work-life balance. And whatever your life is right now, you need to have balance in however many different things you're doing, because most of us are never just doing one thing in our life. But it's important that we balance the different things that are in our life and that are important to us, and really never devote all or most of your time to any one thing. School is valuable and important, but you don't want to burn out on that, on work, on anything, because you don't ever make time for those other things that are important, the things that you enjoy for fun, for leisure, and that kind of keeps you and everything you do in balance all around. And then our last one, I like this. Someone came up with study smarter, not harder, right up there with work smarter, not harder. So a good play on that. For every hour of coursework, plan to spend 2 to 3 hours studying and completing assignments. If you're taking 12 hours, and this varies with everyone in community college, that's the great part with community college. You can take a single class, and any given semester, you can take up to 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah, I think they let you take up to 18.
I think 18 is about where it's capped at. So, but, you know, and that's understanding yourself and your own schedule and the management of stuff. But yes, for classes, you do have to realize that, and even I have nieces and nephews. My niece is 12 years old, and she's starting to realize she has to spend a whole lot more time actually working on stuff for school. And even my 8-year-old nephew, I had the pleasure of working with him with some of this virtual Zoom meetings. And of course, the only schooling he ever knew was traditional schooling. So working with him and a Zoom meetup with an instructor and a class filled with 25 or 30 other kids, it was very interesting. And my dad, who knows the average amount of technology, he's like, can you please come help him? Well, you know, he was with us and doing some of that. And it was like, I had to work with him about, okay, we need to focus on this. We need to spend time for that. And that it was more than just, he's like, well, I just log on to this class for like 45 minutes and then I'm done. I'm like, no, there is time, no matter what age you are. A younger kid, a teenager, a young adult, a responsible adult, or anyone else later in life. I myself, obviously, I didn't mention it before, but I returned to ACC 3 years ago, earned myself a second degree in business management. Yeah, I'm a living, working, breathing adult with all sorts of adult things and responsibilities, but I was able to thrive and succeed and balance working a job, family, sports, hobbies, all sorts of things. So anything's possible. You just have to be able to stay within yourself, put in some forethought and plan and organize what you're doing. So the big point they were talking, if you're taking 12 hours, that would be potentially 4 3-credit classes. they're suggesting, yeah, 25 to 35 hours per week. So that really does mean that every day, if there's 7 days a week, and I mean, you can decide for yourself, but for 7 days a week, that would be at least 5 hours a day outside of the classroom. But it's planning your time and blocking off time, but don't think that you're going to take 3-4 classes and only spend just a couple hours a week. You're going to need more time than that. But if you do already have a very busy work life and other things, you take one class. But for that one class, you're still going to be spending at least 5 to 10, 12 hours a week.
In the chat, Karen says that you're about right with her 12 credit hours. She spends about 25 to 35 hours per week. And Kristen said that she spends about 30 hours a week for studying. It's broken up over 5 days since she works for 2 of those days.
Yep. And so that's managing your time and your schedule, because yes, most of us, like I said, we're more than just students, especially the majority of us taking classes in college, and especially even more so with a community college. We're doing so much, and that's what's great. And down below, some key tips for optimal learning. Set those short and long-term goals. Short-term goals for that week. Long-term goals for that semester, or that season of the year, or that year. But it's, and just as mentioned earlier on another slide, just make your goals, attainable and realistic for you. Just don't do anything too extreme. Not something as simple as, I will go to class. That's a little too vague. But maybe not, I will be president of the United States at the end of this semester. Probably won't happen. Study in a quiet place. Yes, find your right place to study, wherever that environment is, and don't hesitate to mix it up. I know I do, because I like variety. Make a plan or schedule for studying and follow it. Comes back to block off and allocate time. And it's kind of like anything else in life. When you've made a commitment, I have to be here for this, even if it's something in life. Oh, I'm going to this cycling class these 2 days. You blocked off time and are committing to do that. Do that with everything within your academic schedule and your regular schedule. Keep your planner. Keep everything organized. Prioritize, obviously, make sure you know what's most important that gets done each day and each week. But that's what laying everything out ahead of time helps you do and helps you stay on top of. This is good and works for some people. Study the worst first. So if there's this particular subject or class you're not as fond of, yeah. For some people, start with that. Get that taken care of sooner rather than later. Then you can move on to the subjects and things, both in the classroom and in your life, that you're more excited and enjoy a lot more. Yes, when you have multiple classes. Sorry.
Karen says that she's one of the study the worst first kind of people.
Good. Good. Complete assignments early. Better to be proactive than reactive. When you have an opportunity to get things done or to work on more things ahead of time, do it. Don't be like, oh, well, I can think about that. No, because yeah, my first semester back to school in ACC, one of my classes was a statistic class. And I identified early on, the instructor goes, you're going to have unit 1, complete the assignments, complete a test. Unit 2, complete it. You can work through those at whatever pace works for you. I realized pretty quickly that, okay, I feel pretty good about this stuff. I knocked those 2 units out within the first 2 weeks. it allowed me to have more time to focus on the other classes I was taking, and one of them was a macroeconomics class, and besides seeing the word economics once in my life, that was the first time I really learned what that was all about. It allowed me, by having everything taken care of for my statistics class for literally the first month and a half, done in 2 weeks, it gave me extra time to devote towards my macroeconomics class and the 1 or 2 other classes that I was taking. This is good. Take advantage of that time between classes. You can study, if you have note cards, things that you can pull out and flip through, it is something you can do, whether you have even 15, 20, 30 minutes between classes, sometimes longer. Take advantage of that. Or if you have a really long day, obviously during some of those breaks, do make sure you have yourself a snack or a lunch or something to eat. Don't neglect those sort of things either. As mentioned before, study with classmates or form some sort of small group.
In the chat, I asked if there were any prioritizing tips. And so Kristen shared, anything with a set due date, I try to keep to deadlines. Big projects, I break it down by task and stick to the due dates I give myself. I also try to focus on what is at hand and not get too far ahead with content. I also have a specific day that I write discussions and my papers.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with, yes, I mean, that falls into establishing, an organized kind of routine with some of these things. Because it does, you're like, oh, it's this. And you just know on certain days at certain times, this is what you're gonna do. And it becomes second nature. So that is a great point. The last couple of things, this was mentioned earlier, whether you're a morning or night person. So it's a great thing for me and Jamie that we're doing this at 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We both are very optimal and effective and efficient at this time.
Absolutely.
When you're studying for stuff, don't try to study nonstop for 8 hours at a time. It's going to be too much for your mind and for your body. Break things up. Okay, this particular class, block off, whether it's a half an hour, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, but block stuff off by certain classes or certain materials, and then give yourself breaks. For starters, computers are great, but staring at a computer for 8 hours straight will probably make you go cross-eyed, or at least blur your vision.
Kristen said, I also treat myself, or I give myself treats for finishing the daunting stuff too.
Yes. Yes. Okay, yep, we mentioned before, make sure when you're studying, you don't have those tempting distractions, a television, your smartphone, too much background noise, music or otherwise, unless it's something that is beneficial to you. This does talk about if you're studying for a midterm, yes. Look over and go through your tests leading up to that. Yep, note cards are created. You have terms and vocabulary and key concepts. So create note cards or use some of the online tools and you'll find note cards and other practice quizzes and stuff out there. Repetition, basically. Study by reciting materials many times. Yep. Don't just try to do something a couple times. My advice will always be a minimum of 5, but yeah, if you really want something to stick, do it double digits, 10 or more.
Karen was saying, sorry, Lucas.
Go ahead.
Karen was saying, I try to block out an hour of the day to take a walk. That's my reward, and it keeps from my brain melting down from studying for too long.
Oh, yes. Fresh air is my favorite thing in the world. Anyone that knows me personally knows I need my fresh air. I need my movement, my activity, call it whatever you want. I need to either get outside and just go for a walk, or yeah, I am so glad that a couple nights a week, tonight's one of them, I will be playing soccer tonight between about 9:15 and 10:15. No, I won't be doing it outside, but an indoor soccer league. And some people are like, are you crazy? I'll be sleeping at that time. And I'll be like, I'll be getting some necessary exercise and something that, yes, it's something I need. So yes, always take those breaks and do it. Something that's good for you, something you enjoy. Take a break, listen to music, go for a walk, read a book, whatever, any other sort of hobby or something enjoyable is to you. Yes, do treat and reward yourself that, and then refocus and come back to more studies, and yeah, everything just comes full circle. And plan and organize your time from a daily basis to a weekly basis to really even a monthly basis, whether you're doing it right now or once you get comfortable, because it will benefit you immensely, and you will find that whatever you're doing in school and life will be so much easier. And that there is, like, I'm not gonna say I don't stress, but I stress minimal compared to most people because I am so organized and on top of what I'm doing in all facets of life. So that is everything I have for today. Does anyone have any questions?
Checking the chat.
As Jamie mentioned earlier, everything that we kind of went through today, I believe that she will be posting or emailing to all of you. They are all just great tools, great resources. And yes, it is wonderful that all of you, took the time to join, to listen in to stuff like this, because it is, organization is so valuable, but it's something that so many people kind of neglect, and they pay the price for it. So I'm so glad that 8 of you were here today with me and Jamie. That puts us at our magic number of 10. So I would say a very good and successful Monday afternoon.
So no questions at this time. Seneca said this was great. Thank you. Kristen said that this was great as well for the start of the semester, and thank you both. Karen agreed with Seneca that this was a great experience, so thanks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you to all of you for tuning in, and definitely continue to connect with Jamie as she puts out other opportunities like this throughout the semester. And I'm sure if any of you need any sort of academic support, she can definitely pass along my email and contact information for those of you if you want to reach out to me. And/or I am here at the main campus for the rest of the semester on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m.
We have one question.
Yes.
Lucas, what subjects do you teach or tutor?
Anything related to business classes. I can help people with any class that they've done writing assignments and are looking for someone or another person to proofread. I can help people with speeches. I can help people with so more specifically accounting, finance, statistics.
Seneca said thank you. If you want to answer,
Yep.
stop the recording.
Absolutely.
But yes, thank you everyone for coming. All I want to say is if you're in Career Forward and you want to use this as your workshop requirement, make sure that you do your survey